We are 4NC. We are a community coalition for North County. This is a group of organizations and individuals that got together, started talking about what are the local issues that we're concerned about. There's some equity issues between us and the rest of the county. So what we wanted to do as a coalition was to try organizing different events and campaigns to highlight different issues. So here we find ourselves for South City, AFT Local 1481, the Jefferson Federation of Teachers here at the Jefferson Union High School District, AFT Local 1493, which is the San Mateo Community College Federation of Teachers, and the AFT Local 3267, Jefferson Elementary Federation of Teachers, LIA, Migrant Youth for Change and Action, and Migrante North San Mateo County, and several individuals. So can we give a round of applause for 4NC, please, for putting this together? So I would like to recognize the 5 people and the 4 people who are here with us tonight for stepping up into this leadership position. I imagine that sitting there tonight, talking to you, knowing that this is going to be recorded and then put out on YouTube is a little bit daunting, but each of the candidates here has stepped up because they feel that it's important for there to be strong leadership in this community. So can we give them another round of applause? Tonight, as you've probably heard me mention, unfortunately, Dana Claire Smith has canceled. She's ill. So we have the 4 candidates that are here before you. So we'll start here and work our way that way in alphabetical order by last name. We have Braxton Lethco. Get a round of applause, please. Just a welcoming round of applause. Does not indicate vote. Gabriella Makstman. Juslyn Manalo. And Glenn Sylvester. I want to let everyone know that we actually did give the questions to the candidates beforehand because our interest here isn't really to surprise anyone at this point. Our interest is really to give them some time to be really thoughtful about these questions and these issues that have come up from our community and to give them the space to really share who they are and what they're about and how they stand on these different issues. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to Nikki Santiago, who will be our MC for the evening. Can we give her a round of applause?
Good evening. My name is Nikki Santiago Victoria, and I am here representing Migrante Northern San Mateo County. We're also part of the Coalition for North County. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our first candidate, Braxton Lethco.
Thanks, Nikki. So I just want to introduce myself. My name is Braxton Lethco. I rent a 1-bedroom apartment on School Street. You probably have maybe see me running up and down top of the hill. That's like my morning battle every day. So I teach high school math in East Oakland, and I teach in a little bit of a different style. I have 100% of my kids finish their work online. They're always working on Khan Academy. That's kind of like my go-to. But my vision for them to teach math and teaching them math is not really about them learning formulas, but it's about them learning to teach themselves stuff for the rest of their lives. Most of them won't use math in their day-to-day jobs, like calculus or pre-calculus, but most of them will come up with problems for the rest of their lives that they need to solve. That's what math is about, and that's why I'm so passionate about it. I feel, when I tell people about working in education, I feel like I'm trying to get to the moon in the 50s. That's what I always say. It's this crazy problem where we need fresh ideas and solutions. Some of it's from alt schools, some of it's from public, some of it's from charter, some of it's from Khan. It's like this wild beast that we're all trying to tackle at the same time, and there's so many problems with it. My wife and I live over on School Street, like I said, and my dad actually grew up over off Junipero Serra on a street called Casey Street, which is just barely in South San Francisco. And if you can imagine this, he moved out of Daly City more than 40 years ago because it was too expensive for his family. The same struggle is happening with my wife and I as we are concerned about this as a place to raise our kids. So as a place where we would like to settle down, renting a 1-bedroom apartment, I'm not sure that is a guarantee. But Daly City is a place that we love, and we'd love to stay here, and that's the perspective that I bring to the Daly City Council.
Sorry, that's time. We'll move on to Miss Gabriella Makstman.
Thank you so much for 4NC for organizing our first debate, and thank you for everyone who's here to participate. I'm excited at the opportunity to introduce myself to you and help you get to know who I am and why I'm running for City Council. I'm a proud Daly City resident. I've lived here for almost a decade, I'm raising my family here. I've lived in both this neighborhood, Serramonte, as well as now I live in Southern Hills. I'm proud to be the only immigrant running. My parents and my mother is here today, brought me to this country for a better life. And I'm lucky to be the only working mother of 2 young girls standing before you today. I understand how tough it is to balance the ever-rising cost of housing, family expenses, and the paycheck that seems to cover less and less of what we need to survive. I've walked every corner of this campaign, and I've heard how the council is not willing to help when rich developers break promises to the community and grants that were supposed to stabilize housing are pocketed by the council friends without any relief for our people. I've heard that the council is just fine with the way that things are and they don't think anything needs to change, that we don't need new business in this city. Most of us have to slug it in the long commutes north or south while the council blocks every attempt to attract more companies here and even make it easier for our local city businesses to expand. You and I deserve to know why the powerful and the city council friends get breaks and the small guy and gal get ignored. Frankly, you and I deserve better. That's why I'm running. I'm running to make things better for my 2 daughters, for all of you, and for our future. I have a strong plan to change things, and I bring over a decade of financial planning and analysis experience. I've worked in both nonprofits and private companies, helping companies get back on strong financial footing, grow, and manage their expenses. I've served as both the president and the treasurer at Village Serramonte Board of Directors, and I made tough choices
Sorry, that's time.
Thank you. I had like 3 words to say, but thanks. Sorry.
We'll move on to Ms. Juslyn Manalo.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Juslyn Manalo, and thank you for this opportunity for NC and all of you to hear why I'm running today for City Council. My name is Juslyn Manalo, and I'm a Daly City native. I grew up here in Daly City from the age of 8 years old, and I'm a proud alumni of Woodrow Wilson Elementary and also Ben Franklin Elementary School and also Jefferson High School. For me, Daly City is a place I grew up and I've seen now in my adult years, and I want to give back to the city that raised me. I also received my public administration degree in the School of Public Affairs and Civic Engagement, and with this, I want to serve my community. Currently, I'm the Personnel Commissioner for the City of Daly City and also the Chairwoman for the SamTrans Citizen Advisory Committee. I worked in the nonprofit sector for close to 15 years and seen firsthand how you work with residents, seniors, and to listen to the needs of the people and address them through programming and advocacy. My wide range of experiences also is going to provide a great benefit to policymaking. I worked and have a track record with city officials around policy initiatives which encompasses necessary advocacy and cooperation. We need to work together. I've also had vast experience in working in community development, where we have to recognize that private-public partnerships can boost our local economy when done responsibly. I have experience in analyzing city budgets, programs, and ordinances. Also, Daly City has the potential to create economic opportunities.
Sorry, that's time. We'll move on to Glenn Sylvester.
Good evening, everyone. Glenn Sylvester. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. I came out to California when I was 16 and entered the workforce at 17. I moved to Daly City in 1988, and I've been a proud resident since. When I first took my job as a police officer in 1978, I couldn't afford to live here. So we moved to Pittsburgh, California. And until I fell asleep on the freeway, my wife says, nope, we're going back. So that's why I ended up in Daly City. I've been married 42 years. I have 4 children, all of whom attended public schools here in Daly City, and they are all gainfully employed in the public service sector. Thank you so much, Daly City. I'm currently also on the board of directors for the San Francisco Police Credit Union. I've been there for 6 years. We handle a budget of $780 million with 37,000 members. And we, as a board of directors, we see to the direction of how our credit union is going to go. I'm also involved with numerous nonprofits organizations, and when I retired in 2011, I received a call, and they asked me to become part of a planning commission for Daly City, and I've been a planning commissioner since. So I've seen new development. I know about our housing issue. I know about the mandate for Daly City to increase its housing force by 15% by the year 2022. I have the endorsements of Senator Mark Leno, Phil Ting, Assemblymember Kevin Mullen. I'm proud to have the San Mateo Democrats, the Sierra Club, San Mateo Labor, and I'm one of 2 candidates that also has the endorsement of police and fire. What I bring to you folks is fairness, sincerity, energy, and when I handle calls, I always believe—
Sorry, that's time.
Thank you very much.
So we'll start with the questions. Question 1 is about emergency services and public safety. I'm going to read a little bit of context. Recently, our city council has made some controversial decisions about 911 services, Fire Engine 95, and the possible opening of a gun repair shop on Mission Street. Question: what is your position on these decisions? How would you address the resulting concerns about Daly City's emergency readiness and overall commitment to public safety? We'll start with Ms. Gabriella Makstman.
Thank you. I believe that a lot of these decisions were made because we have some severe financial issues in the city. The city is very close to bankruptcy. And I think the reason for that is that there's a lack of experience in the city council over the last 2 decades in finance and understanding budgets. I'm the first finance professional to run for office in a very long time, and I'm the only candidate running who has the experience at looking at these types of budgets and making decisions on managing expenses from in corporate companies. I'm also the only one who's read the 300-page budget that is currently available online, so that I can understand the financial position better. I'm committed to public safety, and I believe that we need to revisit all of these issues. We're currently being sued by the NRA because we decided to not let this gun shop open, and regardless of what the position is on guns, we're going to lose this NRA lawsuit and lose a lot of taxpayer money because of it.
We'll move on to Ms. Juslyn Manalo.
Public safety for our community should never be compromised. My position on the 911 services is that it should not have been outsourced and moved out of the city. Daly City Police and the dispatchers had their long-term relationship on their own system lingo that expedited services to the community. The police officers opposed the outsource and the move of the 911 dispatchers who would know better with their service. Engine 95's potential closure is detrimental to our community because it puts a strain on all the other fire stations in the area. This increases emergency response times and directly affects our residents, and in some situations, it can even mean life or death. In our communities, prevention of violence is crucial. By approving a gun repair shop within the area near multiple schools, churches, and senior housing, this is a business and amenity that is not—
That's time. We'll move on to Mr. Glenn Sylvester.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, when I heard about 911, I actually spoke up against the resource to the council. I spoke up many times. I examined the overtime. I looked at how many hours they worked, and yet they were still outsourced. Those dispatchers were willing to take a pay cut amidst getting a raise at Redwood City. But They didn't get what they wanted, and neither did Redwood City get what they wanted. They expected to get 10 dispatchers. They only got 5. They all moved on to other places. This really hurt our community. In regards to fire, 40,000 was the population approximately 10 years ago, and we have the same amount of firefighters today with a population of over 110. Not going to go, ladies and gentlemen. Public safety is my number one priority. You never, ever compromise on public safety. Now, in reference to the gun shop, I believe in business use and retail. However, there wasn't enough community involvement that spoke up at the time when we approved the gun shop, the Planning Commission. Before
Sorry, that's time.
So, thank you. Wow.
We'll move on to Braxton Lethco.
So first and foremost, I just want to say I am totally against cutting Engine 95. Much like Glenn said, if we are a city of over 100,000, continuing to stretch the resources of the fire department, this is just something we can't take a discount on. There's a lot of things, a lot of corners that I know we're trying to cut right now. The fire department is one we can't, especially as we try to increase the population or people are continuing to move in. So that's a corner I would definitely say not cut. As far as the gun shop, to me, it's not necessarily about being pro-gun or anti-gun. I mean, this is a business that is legal. I've seen the devastation as a UC Santa Barbara alumni and was there during the shooting of what guns can do. But this is not an issue of what guns can and can't do. This is a constitutional issue of whether this business can exist. As far as the 911 services, I have not met with the 911 service team. They were unable to meet with me, and so I do not have an opinion on that issue at this time.
Sorry, that's time. Next question is about parks and libraries. Over the years, our parks and library services have had their budgets reduced, resulting in the consolidation of these public programs into a single department, less recreation programming for Daly City residents, and increasingly limited library hours. Question: what do you think is the effect of these budget cuts? What do you believe can be done to prevent further cuts to these city services and get us on the path to restoring these public programs? We'll start with Juslyn Manalo.
The effect of budget cuts to the library and recreation are directly affecting the residents and the employees of the city. I believe that we need to take a proactive approach in finding new streams of revenue for the city and creating a long-term plan. We have to move beyond the reasoning that Daly City is just Daly City. We are in a central and essential location adjacent to San Francisco and the so-called gateway to the peninsula. It is important to look at opportunities such as transit-oriented development that could bring mixed-income housing, affordable units, and opportunities for small businesses to emerge that respond to the diversity of the community. Also, creating a new hotel within a conference center would be an ideal, because this would also bring in new revenue such as hotel tax for the city. These opportunities will create revenue, housing, and jobs, and ultimately provide more resources for the community.
I just wanted to remind the candidates that you have 1 minute to answer these questions, so please be aware. We'll move on to Glenn Sylvester. Same question.
Thank you very much. At the council meeting and deciding to cut the budget, many folks appeared and says, life or libraries? Life or libraries? It should not be between life or libraries. There are other city services here in Daly City. Libraries are very important to us because we have youths, we have kids, and we spent a lot of money on these libraries. You should not cut these library services. What happened to volunteerism? Why cannot we get volunteers? Why can't we get our seniors involved? They have a lot to offer to the community. I think that's one way we can save money, and they will be willing to give back to the community. So libraries remain a very important facet for me here in Daly City. That should never, ever be cut. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to Mr. Braxton Lethco.
I just want to say the library cuts is a devastating issue. It's just something really, really easy. Like, you cut a few hours from the libraries, it seems like you save a couple, 100,000, you save this money, but the long-term investment of the libraries is crucial. If we think about, like me as a math teacher, I assign my students to do all of their homework online, okay? The internet is the tool where my students are able to teach themselves the math, they teach themselves how to code, they teach themselves how to fix their screens on their phones and then do it for their friends. I mean, there's so many doors that are open to our youth through the library, okay, through the community. It's a passport to so many opportunities. And so I am totally against cutting the library and the programs. I feel like reinvesting in the library is how we can reinvest in our own rising generation and interrupt the poverty that could potentially face them, like we've seen in Oakland through things like
Sorry,
Measure
that's
N.
time. We'll move on to Ms. Gabriella Makstman.
So just yesterday, I was at an event and I saw my old librarian from when I was in elementary school, and I got really emotional. She was there for me at a time when I came to San Francisco and I knew nobody, and I was there every day after school, and she was like a third parent to me. And the libraries, because of her, because of Ruth, hold a very special place in my heart. We built a beautiful library in Bayshore that now, after spending over $1 million, is open only 2 days a week. That's sad. And I believe that the reason we're in this situation is because we are not seeing the type of development here in Daly City that exists in other places on the peninsula. And that has to do with the fact who's been in charge for the last 20 years. And it's time for change. It's time for youthful energy, for innovation, and for those people who understand where the value is. And the value is in programming and in the libraries.
The third question is about schools. Daly City's public schools are vital community resources that are used by the vast majority of our children and teens. While the city does not directly govern the business of the public school districts that serve its residents, decisions made by City Hall can have a powerful impact on the overall success and public perception of Daly City schools. Question: what role do you think City Hall should play in supporting our local public schools? If elected, what would you do to enhance the work that is already being done by our local school boards? We'll start with Mr. Glenn Sylvester.
Thank you. We have boards, the Jefferson Union High School District, the Jefferson Elementary School District. Those are our experts. And I feel, as being on the council, we should assist and help these experts. There's a new program coming called Community Schools, which I learned about. And what an excellent program. I would do everything I can to advocate for that program because it was long overdue and it's coming. This is something that we definitely need. Schools are very, very important to us, and we have to show on the council that we support them. I believe in a multi-jurisdictional commission, nurses, doctors, schools, where you meet once a month, school officials, and let's talk about the problems in the schools, and then let's get the problems out. Hopefully we can address them all. So I would like to create something like that. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to Braxton Lethco.
So I think a lot about the work the school board has done, and you think about how invested the people of Daly City are in the schools. I mean, we voted to tax ourselves, just like Oakland and other places, to tax ourselves to improve our schools. We are desperate to support our schools in any way possible. And much like Glenn said, I feel like the school board is the experts on this. They're the ones who facilitate that. But my invitation is look at what other city councils are doing. Look at what's going on in New Orleans. Look what's going on with Measure N. Look at what's going on in Palo Alto and the way that they treat their teachers. Okay, as a public school teacher, there's so much that can be done by branding your teachers as more than just underpaid heroes to burden the load, but really truly supporting the students with full transparency. Look what they're doing in San Diego. I think some of the answers is in public schools. Some of the answers is in...
Sorry, that's time. We'll move on to Gabriella Makstman.
I'm proud to say that Nick Ochipinti, co-founder of 4NC and board member of the Jefferson Union School District, has endorsed me. Nick's a Daly City resident and a teacher. Recently, I've learned about Sergio's Community Schools program. And as an immigrant, I know how important our public schools are in the daily lives of hardworking people. My parents begged for our school district to let me go to school 1 year early because they didn't have money for childcare. In my position, I will work to ensure that schools continue to be the driving force of community building here in Daly City. We need to make sure that we are bridging the gap for the multicultural community that exists here in Daly City. And I look forward to being able to be a part of that.
Thank you. We'll move on to Juslyn Manalo.
As a council member, I think it's really crucial and imperative to partner with the school districts. We must partner with them. And as an alumni, as I stated earlier, from all the public schools, it's important that City Council does partner with districts. As mentioned earlier around community schools, it's important to build community schools that have the resources for parents so that, they can have resources if they need case management or if they need assistance with other resources. For me, what's crucial is that we need to build these community schools, and I would like to look for opportunities to provide maybe resources to help expedite how we would build a community school, such as finding resources with community development block grants.
Sorry,
and
that's
actually
time.
actualize these proposals. Thanks.
The next question is on affordable housing. To get out of the Daly City rental market, one can buy a home here. The median cost of homes currently on the market is $709,000, with new homes being built near Mission Street selling for over $1 million. Question: what does the high cost of home ownership mean for the future of Daly City? How should the city move forward to ensure that working families have opportunities to be a part of our homeowner community? And we will start with Mr. Sylvester? Oh. No, we started
Be more
with
than
the last
happy
question.
to.
Okay, we'll start with Mr. Sylvester.
Okay, great. Huh?
Yeah,
okay.
because we skipped Dana, the last question.
Okay. Oh, right.
If it's okay.
I'm sorry, Glenn.
You be flexible. Let's do it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for the question. Yes, we have a problem with affordable housing in Daly City. We just built a new development on Mission Street, to which I approved Mid-Penn Peninsula Housing, but that's the rental. There are a lot of folks who want to own a home. Why is Daly City still not taking part of the HEART program, where they will help you with the down payment to buy a home? Also, it really doesn't make sense. Then you have developers who will come in. I want below market rate homes. I don't want them to only to be available to low income folks. I also want them to be available to middle class folks. All too often, the charts are so low that even the middle class, you make too much money. No, we've got to change those charts and start getting more middle class folks to buy into homes here in Daly City. And I believe the HEART program is one of the ways to do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll move on to Mr. Braxton Lethco.
Yeah, this is something that my wife and I talk about, because we talk about affordable homes, and that's something I can't even grasp right now, right? I mean, we talk about let's cut this in half, right? Let's talk about $709,000. Let's cut that. Let's say I got this wild deal, half off, $400,000. That's still way out of my grasp. Like something I totally can't. We can't see ourselves buying. And so without a program in place, which at least helps you with the down payment, which at least helps you to set it up, it's just something that you can't even see. And it's disappointing as a resident to see that.
Thank you. Let's move on to Ms. Gabriella Makstman.
I've talked to many residents who have lived in Daly City for most of their lives, and they agree that the fabric of the city is changing, that we're slowly losing the feeling of community that was once so deeply felt here. The Bay Area as a whole is suffering from a high cost of ownership, and Daly City is especially affected because other cities in the county are not doing their part to support building. People are moving here willing to pay these higher home prices because places like Menlo Park and Palo Alto are not building new homes. We need to make sure that we create opportunities for Daly City residents to own homes here by ensuring below market rate opportunities, programs to support with down payments, and that these programs are available for every development that's being built here. And we also need to make sure that we're pushing other cities in the county to do their fair share in supporting affordable housing here on the peninsula. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Ms. Juslyn Manalo.
Thank you. In regards to affordable housing, I think we need to really look at a multi-pronged approach, meaning when we do build affordable housing opportunities, that there needs to be more affordable housing homes for people to purchase, and that there needs to be, I think we need to access more federal and state programs so that, people that are, looking to finally purchase a home. I know there was Habitat for Humanity that, that helped, individuals and families actually purchase their homes. We need to access more of those opportunities for residents of Daly City. Also, I do believe that we need to find the federal grants to reach more families and individuals to have those loan programs. And when I say a multi-pronged approach...
Sorry, that's time. The next question is on renter protection. We've seen many neighbors leave Daly City because they could no longer afford it here. Renters now must compete for 2-bedroom apartments renting for $3,000 a month or 3-bedroom houses for more than $4,000 a month. Currently, Daly City has no laws to limit how often or how much rent can be increased outside of a lease, and nothing to help limit evictions. Question: other cities on the peninsula are considering tenant protection laws like rent control, rent stabilization, and just cause eviction. Should something be done here to provide renters with greater protections? If so, what specific ideas will you advocate for should you be elected? And we'll begin with Braxton Lethco.
So I wish I was a better repairman because I have the worst anxiety about asking my landlord to fix anything. I mean, some of you may rent and you may be in the same situation, but it's like I know if I ask him to fix something, he could justify raising the, this is how it is. Like I try to avoid contact with him. He's a great guy, but it's like at any time he could pull out the rug from underneath me. And it's terrifying. And it's just the way it is. So the solutions, as far as what I've done in the past, when I was at UC Santa Barbara, I was elected the Tenants Association president, and we did a rent freeze for all university residents, and it actually turned out awful. It turned out awful. I led it. You can look it up online. What happened is people kept their apartments. There was a black market for renting. It was the worst. What we did work really well when I studied at UC Berkeley was we had a percentage that landlords could increase. They could only increase it 3% annually, and based on inflation. So it was adjusted to inflation. Now that...
Oh, sorry, that's time.
Fair enough.
We'll move on to Ms. Gabriella Makstman.
So just this year, we had a family that had to leave our school because they could no longer afford to live in Westlake apartments, which had raised their rent over 15% in 1 year. That's highway robbery. And it's a perfect example of corporate greed and complete disregard for our community. When I'm elected, I'll work with organizations such as the California Apartment Association to educate landlords on the negative impact of excessive rent increases. And I'll work together to bring renter advocates, landlords, and their representative bodies together to discuss plans to find compromise and ensure that our city continues to be somewhere where families can live and lay down their roots. A perfect example of that is a rent raise cap, which has been shown to work much better in communities than rent control. very similar to what Braxton mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Ms. Juslyn Manalo.
So if elected, I would advocate for a real serious dialogue to create a plan to examine rent stabilization in Daly City with a realistic timeline with all stakeholders, because this issue has disrupted families and children who have gone to school and have to move further away from their elementary school. And also have spoken to seniors when I'm on the ground who are vulnerable and threatened that they have to leave their apartments because of their fixed incomes. I think that when elected, I would seriously have that serious dialogue and put a timeline to what we could do for rent stabilization.
Thank you. Let's move on to Mr. Glenn Sylvester.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, rent control does not work. It increases supply, and it increases demand and decreases supply. Rent control will work if you get the parties involved, the realtors, the homeowners, the tenants. Believe me, coming from a police officer side, I've seen both sides of the coin. Tenants destroy the places. You're looking at just cause, but yet the next person who's living next door, you cannot get that tenant out on just cause, even though they're lowering the quality of life. We need to come together. You get some folks who will take advantage of the situation, make a six-figure income, but they'll hold on to the apartment. Mom and dad may move out and give it to their kids. We've got to find a mechanism to enforce the rent based upon the CPI index, based upon salaries, and stay up on this. And it has to be transparent to everyone, and that's the way.
Sorry, that's time.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is on diversity and equity. There has been a lot of public debate across the country about questions of diversity, equity, and the opportunity gaps between different racial and ethnic groups. Daly City is home to a very diverse population, and our residents are not immune to these challenging issues. Question: what do you believe are the specific challenges that Daly City faces in terms of diversity and equity? As a city leader, how do you propose City Council should approach these challenges? And we'll begin with Gabriella Makstman.
I'm proud to be part of the multicultural fabric of Daly City, where so many immigrants like myself have chosen to call home. But a lot of the gaps have to do with education and programs and learning about one another. Perfect example, I'm Jewish. Today is the equivalent of our New Year's. I'm here tonight at this event because I think it's important. But a lot of people don't know that it's my New Year's, and hence we have an event today. So as a city council member, I will push for more programming that teaches other people about other cultures and what other people feel is important, so that we understand each other better and that we can live in community together. Because I think that that's the important next step that Daly City needs to do in order to bridge all of these cultures that have chosen to call this place home. There's a lot of us, and we're all unique, and we're all different. And we can make it a better place if we learn more about one another.
That's time. We'll move on to Juslyn Manalo.
Thank you. As a leader, I would propose equal pay for women and close the gender gap within city government, and also take a comprehensive look at all levels. Although we have cities for ending discrimination against women and girls for equal pay, I think we need to take a proactive approach at looking at this through the city lens. Also, we do have programming within the city that does celebrate the diversity of different cultures, but I think we could take it a step further and really be able to provide forums and places where we can talk about social equity around the realities that happen within our society. I think that we can provide this avenue through programming and events, and we should do this.
Thank you. Mr. Glenn Sylvester.
Thank you very much. I do that on purpose because no matter what anybody says, your training and your cultural diversity comes from what you learn at home. And if we can just see each other blindly and just talk to folks, who cares what your diversity is? Everybody ought to be treated equally, regardless of who they are. We have a problem in that we need to know the holidays. You got the Filipino Heritage Month, you got the Cinco de Mayo. We need the city to even put up on their website and put it out to everyone. Did you know? And these are the upcoming holidays. Let's start doing this now and forget about this culture, this racial divide. It exists, but we all must work together to get rid of it. You got the social and you got the economic divide. But on this particular case, you're talking about cultural and racial. We need to forget all of that and work together as one. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is on wages.
I think I.
Oh, I'm sorry. Gosh. We'll move on to Mr. Braxton Lethco.
So this is one of those things that looks really, it can look like everything's all right on paper, but the reality is really different, right? So the paper, someone can come to, at a school district, one time someone showed they're like 78% of Asians are going to and through college, right? Well, we just grouped this huge group of people that, 78% of Filipinos, 78% of Samoans or Tongans are my students, 78%. It's something that you can make look good on paper, but we need to reach out to these groups very differently, okay? So there's programs like Tech Bridge, okay? Bringing women into technology. Girls Inc. There's all these different, think about the tech example. The Silicon Valley has set a goal of having something like 3 or 4% diversity. Because currently they were at 2%, trying to bring people from African American heritage and Latino heritage into Google and
time.
LinkedIn. Yeah.
Okay, so now the next question is on wages. Across the peninsula, cities are considering raising the minimum wage, given the mounting economic pressure and affordability crisis. In 2015, San Francisco raised its minimum wage to $12.25. Then this past July to $13. San Francisco will be up to $15 in 2018. On August 15, the city of San Mateo passed an ordinance that would begin raising the minimum wage in January to $12 and then annually to $15 an hour by 2019 and further adjusted in 2020. The minimum wage in Daly City was $9 in 2015 and now rests at $10 since this past January. However, in April, the governor signed a law raising the state minimum wage to $10.50 starting January, eventually getting to $15 in 2022. Question: should Daly City wait to follow the state law or consider a faster timeline to raise the wages of our community's lowest paid workers? What effect do you believe your preferred timeline might have on Daly City? We'll start with Juslyn Manalo.
Daly City should consider a faster timeline to raise the minimum wage for the community. Although that is an effort in the state level by 2019 and 2020, I think City Council must take an active approach to see if this is feasible before then.
Thank you. Mr. Glenn Sylvester.
Being the proxy for Senator Mark Leno, I'm proud that he authored this initiative before it went to the governor's office as Senate Bill 53. Raising the minimum wage, should the city follow the state law? I say no. When should we, Daly City, do it? Tomorrow. If you take that $15 per hour and you multiply it out, you get $28,800. That's still not enough, folks. We need to act immediately in raising the minimum wage for our workers here, and so that they can live a better life. Who knows, maybe even a single parent has to live on $28,000 a year. It couldn't come any faster, folks. Tomorrow, we would need to raise that. No fooling around. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Braxton Lethco.
So people often bring up raising the minimum wage, and I know we talked about raising it to like 18 and things like that, and I feel like we cannot do that. We cannot raise the minimum wage faster than San Francisco, even the state of California. Raising the minimum wage faster, especially than the rate of inflation, has a high cost. We need to maintain an economic advantage to our city. I don't know that jobs, let's say we raised our minimum wage to $18 an hour, I don't think that jobs would run away like a lot of anti-raising minimum wage people would pitch, but it would label our business as an anti-business city, okay? And right away, that would stop us from bringing in new businesses or sustainable businesses into the city. So if we're talking about a living wage, we need to raise the minimum wage to $40 an hour. It's something that it's not realistic. Okay, so as far as that goes, what we need to do is reinvest in the rising generation so that they can support our city, so that they're not fighting
That's
for minimum
time.
wage jobs.
Ms. Gabriella Makstman.
Daly City is home to many small businesses just trying to survive, just like you and I. It's not just Starbucks and Target that employ here, and it's important to make sure that those businesses can survive and continue to provide jobs here. I've talked to countless business owners about this issue, and they've all agreed that if Daly City were to increase the timeline, that they'd be forced to close up shop or raise their prices, which will basically mean that those $15 are just as worthless as they were before. And I don't want either. And if they're exempt, then they'll have a hard time recruiting employees. So it's a really complicated issue. And I don't think you can just say, let's raise it tomorrow, because there are other players involved. There are a lot of businesses that employ people here and pay them minimum wage. If you had to pay them all of a sudden $50,000 more a year, they wouldn't be able to afford that extra employee part-time. So it's something that needs to be addressed holistically and realistically. And I would do
That's
that if I'm in charge.
The next question is on transparency and accountability. As one of our city's highest officials, each city council member is granted power and authority over how Daly City will function. In the end, the council will make many decisions that will have a direct impact on the quality of life of those living and working in Daly City. Over the years, we have heard community members and city officials alike discussing the need for greater transparency and accountability. Question: what is your assessment of the levels of transparency and accountability in Daly City's governance? What are your plans to have an impact on these issues? We'll start with Glenn Sylvester.
Did we miss?
It's weird because
We can move it, so, sorry, who should be going next?
it should be Braxton, I believe.
Glenn can go.
You don't want to start?
Yeah. No, that's fine. I mean, the first issue is that our citizens don't vote. It's the biggest issue, okay? As I knock doors, I'm always asking people for advice. I'm always asking people, are you aware of this? There's so many people I've had to explain what cutting engine 95 means, okay? People have every other door, I'm saying, this is what this is what the school thing is, this is what we're voting on. When I'm playing basketball, I feel like that's what I'm talking about with people. They're not always as excited to talk about that with me. But as far as what's going on in the community, there needs to be so much more buy-in with the community. I think our citizens don't realize what's going on, what they're missing out on. Some of it's being hidden, like other candidates will talk about, but a lot of it is getting full community engagement and realizing the potential resources that are out there to serve our community.
Thank you. Gabriella Makstman.
So we have a complete lack of transparency, and it starts from the city manager's office and it trickles down to every aspect of government. When I'm elected, I will blog about every important decision that I make and explain why I came to that conclusion. I'm shocked that most people don't know that Daly City is close to bankruptcy and that the city council is renting at least 6 buildings for $1 to their friends. We need to update the website, make it more intuitive, more user-friendly, and find technological ways to make the actions of the council more public in real time. We're a complete news desert here in Daly City. There's no newspaper, nobody wants to write about us, you won't find us on TV. We need to find ways to bring us back on the map. Thank you.
Thank you. Juslyn Manalo?
Thank you. Greater accountability and transparency is crucial, and city government should always provide access to documents and the financial operations to its residents it serves, and it should be accessible and easy to find. The budget and all of the programs should be easily and readily available, where you go online and you don't have to contact a staff member to get the information. I do believe we need to continue to enhance all of the accessibility points, such as enhance the social media, also the website, and also have more engagement and have city workers reach out to the community members so that they know what's going on in Daly City.
Thank you. We have to go back. Mr. Glenn Sylvester?
Thank you very much. Transparency is very, very important for our city. Because of our recent budget deficit, why does the city council have to wait every 2 years before they see the budget? What I would like is complete transparency and establish a commission to review the budget and the variances in the budget at least every quarter. How are we doing? How are we doing? That's the accountability aspect, and you have to take control of that. In the area of transparency, Daly City residents used to get these booklets in the mail, tells you upcoming events, what's happening at the city. Well, the last booklet I got, some of you folks may have gotten, it says we will no longer be sending these out. We will email you the information. Okay, well, we're saving money, but you have some seniors perhaps who are not computer literate and not on the internet. So something like the banks do. Please, if you want to go paperless, let us know. You need
Sorry,
involvement
that's time.
out there in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. The last question is on leadership and civic engagement. In every city, City Hall can only do so much to maintain the quality of life of its residents and promote change where necessary. A truly vibrant city relies on a partnership between city officials and those who live, study, work, and do business there. This requires skilled leadership to ensure proper levels of civic engagement and community building. Question: how will you engage and unite the community of Daly City to be invested and active in city affairs? How will you ensure that the voices of Daly City residents are heard when they have grievances or concerns? And I think it should be Juslyn.
No, I think it starts with me.
Oh, okay. Do you want? Okay.
So for me, listening to residents has started in this campaign. It's amazing once you offer a ear, how many people will give you their complaints and their grievances. And I've already addressed several homeowners or several residents' concerns when they've been complaining to me about how the city council doesn't do anything for them, even when they've asked so many times. As a member, I'll never make it about me. I'm running to help this city because I want to make a difference, not to help myself, not to help my friends on the council. I don't have any. My focus is on Daly City. I believe that the best way to engage people is by making myself available. When I'm elected, I will have monthly town hall meetings at community centers, homeowners associations, and schools to bring City Hall to the city streets and listen to the residents, not just expect them to get in their car twice a month to go to City Hall. I'll make myself accessible, and I will answer every single concern individually, as I have already. Thank you.
Thank you. Juslyn Manalo.
Thank you. I believe it's so important for residents to feel connected to community. And by providing opportunities such as town halls and increasing visibility through other channels such as social media and providing more accessibility with, I believe just the community engagement on the ground is so important. I've learned so much as well hearing from residents, and I think that because there's just a lack of discourse and not being able to receive information, that many residents are just, focused on just working and trying to survive, and we need to really bring the accessibility to the residents. And for me, I listen and respond to individuals and residents, and I take note of what their concerns are. And
That's time.
Thanks.
Mr. Glenn Sylvester.
Thank you very much. The magic word here for me, ladies and gentlemen, is accountability. We lack accountability in Daly City. Coming from public service as a police officer, we have a term called CPOP, Community Police Armed Patrol. Get out of them cars and walk on the streets, talk to the merchants, talk to the neighbors, talk to the homeowners associations, and not only police, but fire also. And what about the complaints that come into the city? Who is tracking those complaints? If nobody tracks the complaints, you have no accountability. I want to ensure we have a mechanism to track the complaints, so if we ask, any complaints come in, I want to see the whole list and what has been done about it. I've been getting calls about dog poop at schools. Well, wait a minute. Stop asking the city folks to do everything. It's also a community effort. Get the community involved and let us all work together. Put a camera up, put signs up, but don't always depend on the city to handle all your complaints.
Braxton Lethco.
So I think the key is really connecting with people. When I was elected the Tenants Association president years ago, I met every tenant. As a classroom teacher, every classroom teacher knows that nothing is more powerful than a home visit to a student. It's really awkward for the kid. It's great for the parents and great for the family. And you can see the change and really understand what's going on in there. Some of the things that I'll do are small, like wearing a name tag when I ride BART to work, right? I'm wearing a name tag when I go to Lucky's to buy and some of the things are consistent, like when I run to the top of the hill every morning, when I go play basketball over at the park. But I think the most constant thing and consistent thing that I am committed to do, even after winning the election, is to continue to knock doors. I'll campaign the same amount I do now as I do then, which is only about 10 to 15 hours a week.
Sorry,
and that's how often
that's
I'll
time.
go and meet people. Okay.
Sorry to interrupt. So we're looking at the time, and actually we're moving a lot faster than we'd anticipated. So really use this next sort of time with the 2 minutes to
Your last thought.
to sort of finish your last thoughts. If there are things that were, does that work for folks?
2 minutes.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again so much. I didn't make mention earlier regarding my duties on the Planning Commission. Many times I have given a no vote and surprised the other commissioners because of what I heard from the community. If staff cannot give me a good answer, I'm voting no, and to their surprise, I have done so. I'm against big box corporations coming into Daly City, like the Kmart, because with these big box companies, we want them, but they exploit the workers. They'll make you work part-time so that they don't have to pay you benefits. I will not tolerate that. I've also heard a candidate say something about rents for $1. I'd like to find out about this. To my knowledge, the place that's renting is providing services to the community, whether it's a food bank, whether it's legal services, providing services. So what do you get back out of that? If they're giving something back to the community, then I think it is well worth it, especially if they're a nonprofit. And lastly, I didn't talk about Seton Hospital, one of our biggest employers here in Daly City. We need to preserve Seton Hospital. As a planning commissioner, I had approved the new development and the building that's going on at Seton Hospital. We want to keep our workers there. I will bring you the energy. I won't give up. I will listen to what you have to say. I believe that we live by the spirit of the law and not by the letter of the law. Thank you.
Thank you. Braxton Lethco.
So the only key points that I didn't touch on have to, again, do with the library and a little bit about bringing sustainable businesses to Daly City. If we look at the long-term benefits, once again, of reinvesting in after-school programming and the library and things like that, there are things like SAT prep, which for the first time in history is not something that the wealthy used to have SAT prep classes that they would help their kids go to college. Now it's free, as long as you have access to online or the library. It's not like this big divide, okay? There's all kinds of basic connections that can help the rising generation of Daly City citizens develop 21st century skills, okay? And it's devastating to think that we would ever think about closing the door on that. It's also disappointing to see us turn our backs on public services, the fire department that literally risks their lives to protect us, to cut some corners as far as budgets go. And the thing that I keep seeing as I'm running for city council is I see the same pattern. We're talking now about cutting libraries hours, moving 911 services, cutting Engine 95. Guess what? The exact same thing is going to happen in 4 years or in the next recession, right? And then we're going to cut a bunch of other stuff. And then we're going to say, things are going to be okay. And then we're going to cut. It's insane to think that doing the same thing over and over again is going to create different results. We need to develop a change. We need fresh ideas for Daly City that can support its citizens and the rising generations without gentrifying or removing the people who are here. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Gabriella Makstman.
So as I was saying in my opening remarks, I served as both president and treasurer at Serramonte Village on the board of directors, and I made tough choices during the 2008 recession. And the community came out stronger because of them, and you can ask anyone there, they'll agree. I want to tell you a little bit about my plan for Daly City, and it has 3 parts. The first is Daly City needs more income. We need to bring Silicon Valley to Daly City. We need to attract high tax revenue businesses like startups and hotels, and we need to make it easier for small businesses that are already here to operate. Secondly, our city budget needs oversight and transparency. We need to encourage financial discipline and smart planning, and we need to honor our financial commitments and provide our residents with quality of services. Finally, the neighborhoods need better safety and affordability. We need to bring focus back to the core needs of the current residents, and we can do that through multi-use developments. We need to make sure that we're retaining and hiring quality public safety officers, and we need to foster community spirit, the community spirit that we've been losing over the course of the last couple of decades, and we need to do that with public events and spaces. Our city needs change. It needs someone like me who could look at the budgets, analyze them, and contribute to the planning process. And we need a diversity of talent on the council. We definitely don't need 2 family members on the council. If you make the choice to elect me, I'll fight to make sure that the voices of the Daly City residents are heard, and I will work tirelessly to support the needs of the community. I'm committed to the city and its residents. I want to quickly let you know about some of my endorsements. I've been endorsed by Madeline Agramonte, who was a councilwoman and mayor here from 1990 to 2002. She's currently the mayor pro temp in Sonoma. Rachel Garibaldi, who is a retired trustee from the Bayshore School District. Nick, who's sitting over there. Howard Edelman from the Daly City Planning Commission.
And that's time.
Thank you.
Sorry. Juslyn Manalo.
Okay, sure. So, like I said before, Daly City has been my home ever since I was 8 years old. And so my passion to serve the city is really because I care about this city. And I have had the experience to work in the nonprofit sector to close to 15 years, working with residents firsthand, and to see what needs that arise and address those needs with programs. I've also been able to work on real policy issues in the municipality that I work in. And so I have the experience around working with people, working in the nonprofit sector, also working with policymakers and working on real issues and finding solutions to them. I want to make sure that, I can raise my children in Daly City in the future. For me, it's important to look at things in a very, I would say, holistic manner, and be able to work with businesses, small businesses, also the nonprofit sector, and then bridge those services that residents need on the ground. I've been able to get the support and proud to have the support of the San Mateo Labor Council, and also the support of fire and police, and also the teachers in the area and the California Federation of Teachers. Humbly ask for the support and vote of all of you, and I would be proud to serve the city that I'm raised in. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So now we'll move on to the questions from the gallery. And again, it's 1 minute each. The first question, city budget needs more revenues. What taxes and assessments will you support raising? And we'll start with Glenn Sylvester.
Was that? Okay. 1 minute. Okay. There are various ways to raise. I'm against raising taxes. I am against raising taxes on parcels and sales taxes especially. How little do folks know that if we were to raise our sales tax, even though we only get back 1%. The rest goes to the state. And the problem there is the state is depending on us to provide additional services. We need to make sure that before we raise any of these taxes, we take a hard look. Maybe a business tax, but nothing on the community. I would be opposed to it. Nothing on the community, but big new businesses, a consideration, a business tax. Thank you.
Thank you. Braxton Lethco.
So I don't support increasing sales tax. I talked a little bit earlier about a competitive advantage. Even if, economically speaking, if you increased your sales tax just a fraction above everyone else, then you don't have a competitive advantage against those other people. And so by you increasing this 0.01% of sales tax, you will lose more than that in business because people will buy their goods in the city next door to you. Okay? So sales tax is off the table. I also don't think that we're in a position to raise taxes on businesses. We are in a position where we need to bring more businesses in. So I think the equation needs to be changed. As a math teacher, I think it's not about raising the taxes for specific parties or people. I think it's more about bringing more businesses and sustainable tax entities into the equation. That way the pie is bigger so that we're not having this conversation every 4 years about cutting stuff.
Thank you.
So I've gone through
Hold
the.
on.
Oh,
Sorry. We need to put the timer on. Okay, Gabriella Makstman.
So I've gone through the list of all of the businesses that have recently applied for use tax permits, and I've called every single one of them to understand their relationship with the city. And let me tell you, the city has a horrible reputation with the business community. This is why there are almost no new businesses coming into Daly City. So you can raise the taxes, you can raise the sales tax, you can raise the business tax, but that's not going to fix the revenue problem because these businesses are going to continue not coming here and wanting to open up shop here. It's just a fact. And what we need to do in Daly City is we need to make it more business friendly. And by raising taxes on businesses or sales tax, you're not going to get that result. It just doesn't work that way based on economics, and it's been shown time and time again. So it's a little bit of a misnomer that you can raise your revenue through taxes. It just doesn't work that way, and I wouldn't support that, but I would support creative other ways of looking into how to bring in more business here into the city.
Thank you. Juslyn Manalo?
Thank you. So I do believe that we need to look into creating a hotel tax and finding a way to bring in a hotel with a conference center within Daly City, because that would be a tax that can actually go into the shortfall that we're having today. Right, so I think that's a realistic kind of avenue we can go towards, but also, and so that we don't have to go and towards a parcel tax. But when needed, I think we need to go towards a parcel tax. If, for instance, having to restore our public safety, such as Measure V, and also increasing and making sure that we continue to invest in our youth, such as Measure T, right? And so in those situations, that's where I feel strongly that we need to, bring the taxes, because these are essential services.
Sorry, that's time. Sorry. The second question from the gallery is, majority of Daly City residents are employed outside of the city. How can we make Daly City less commuter-centered and more community-centered? So less commuter-centered and more community-centered. We started last time with Glenn, so Braxton Lethco.
So the nature of the beast is we will always be somewhat of a commuter city. We're next to one of the biggest, right? We're right between Silicon Valley and one of the biggest cities as it is. The question is a good one, which is how can we bring sustainable jobs, not tons of small part-time jobs or anything like that, but sustainable jobs that can keep our residents and their families here long-term, especially for the rising generation. And I think it comes down to cutting the barriers to bring businesses into Daly City. We need to rebrand ourselves. We need to be a city that supports sustainable long-term business.
Thank you. Gabriella Makstman.
So a perfect example about how we're not, the city council isn't doing what they should be doing to bring in business and creating jobs in the city. I talked to the leasing agent at DC Station, and there is a very well-known worldwide company that wants to rent 6,000 square feet. All that they want is for someone from the council to go there and shake hands and give them a smile, and no one from the city council has come. I will come. And I will make sure that that company brings jobs to the city, because that's how we can make sure that people aren't having to lug down to the South Bay and to Oakland, and that we're creating jobs here. And once we do that, that's how we start building a community. Because people have time to eat dinner with their kids, and they will have time to go to the park and to the library if it's open. So that's what we need to be doing. We need to be bringing the jobs here. And that's how we start building the community here.
Thank you. Juslyn Manalo.
So having more community-centered approach, I think, is definitely around providing more opportunities for people to engage. Right. I know that we do have events here and there, but I think we need to provide more opportunities where residents can actually engage and see one another in our community. I also do feel that when we do have opportunities for community events, it needs to be broadcasted on a wider level. If we do need to put someone on the ground, I think as a staff person, to really be the person out there to let everyone know, to be that community public engagement person from the city, I think we need to do that. I know, social media is there, but if...
Time.
Okay.
Mr. Glenn Sylvester.
Thank you. Folks, we got to change our way of thinking. You know Daly City's motto, gateway to the peninsula? Why should we be a gateway to anywhere? Daly City, we need to change our way of thinking here in Daly City. To make it more community-centered, folks have to live in the community. They travel outside because they get better pay. That is why I want minimum wages to be raised. That is why I also want prevailing wages. That is why I also want equal pay amongst men and women. And what about these companies? Google, they shuttle buses from San Francisco all the way downtown. Well, come on now, you want to come to the city? Hey, let's find you some land and let's build some workforce housing. Contribute to that. We need to do that. We got a problem in Westlake right now. Westlake School of Performing Arts. It's been there a long time. Well, true, you get the community involved, and the community may not want to lose, or they may not
Sorry,
want to
that's
develop.
time.
We have to look at all those things. Thank you.
Last question. Do you have any criticisms of our current city council? Please describe. And we'll start with Gabriella Makstman.
Oh, this is a loaded question. So many of the current council members have been on the council for almost 2 decades. I come from the former Soviet Union, where I come from, that's called totalitarianism. Okay, if someone's been in charge for 20 years, it's time for change, and it's time for something new. Like I already mentioned, they are not willing to work with the business community. They've made decisions where we're being sued by the NRA. And again, regardless of what your position is on guns, you cannot beat the NRA. It's not even worth getting into the boxing ring. It's like trying to fight with Muhammad Ali. He will win every time. So will the NRA. That's my taxpayer money. That's not going to the schools. That's not going to the libraries. That's not going to the police officers. That is being spent on this lawsuit that we're going to lose. So those are just some of the complaints. But realistically, I think they've been in charge for too long. It's time for fresh blood, fresh ideas, innovation, and a new generation of leaders to step up and take care of this
That's
city.
time. Juslyn Manalo.
Thank you. So I think that there definitely needs to be a really kind of long-term look at the city. For me, if there was a deficit or a shortfall coming, I don't know for why there hasn't been a concrete plan to look towards a vision ahead, right? If they saw the budget and they've seen the budget for over the course of years, why haven't we really taken a proactive approach to have a vision for the next 10 years and really find innovative ways? Yes, I grew up here in Daly City. I see Daly City when I was a young kid and now. And so we need to really take a hold and take a visionary community development plan and really find these innovative approaches that we all can work together towards. And that's what we need to do. We need to let go of it's just Daly City.
Mr. Glenn Sylvester.
That is a good question. It's an excellent question. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not about the other council members. You folks voted for them and put them there. Any faults that you see in any of the council members that have manifested itself, well, perhaps there needs to be a change. And I promise you, I will not smear anybody here in public. You're asking me to air some dirty laundry, and I won't do it. This is all about me wanting to be on that council, and any negatives I found lately is you're guilty by association. Just because somebody else likes you, a whole bunch of other people don't like you. Folks, you have the right to choose whoever you want to endorse, whoever you want to vote for. I will never, ever hold it against you. So please, don't ask me to smear another council member, because I won't do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Braxton Lethco.
I mean, there's a few small things, which I think everyone agree on, like the mayor should be elected. I don't have anything against the mayor. I just feel like that's a system that should be put in place for full transparency, so the citizens can elect the mayor. I don't agree with lifetime health care for Daly City candidates. Just like a few small things. I would love to see some of the city council pay donated to graduating seniors for scholarships, but these are like personal opinions, right? These aren't like personal attacks. These are just things that I see as needs in the city. Ultimately, I just hope that they can see Daly City as this opportunity. Every city that's tried to catch up has ended up pushing out its residents in the process of doing so. We have such a unique and diverse city with so many skills and talents that we can do it without pushing people out in the process as we try to rebuild the Daly City that we all would love to live in.
We'll go on to closing statements now. And let's start with Ms. Juslyn Manalo. You have 2 minutes, beginning now.
Thank you for the opportunity to share with all of you who I am. And I would really, truly be humbled for your support and your vote. And as a Daly City native, I want to give back to my hometown. This is where I was raised, and this is where I want to raise my children. If elected, I will always be here with an open ear, an open heart to give back. I am humbled, and I want to let you know that, I've had the support and endorsements of Senator Mark Leno and also Assemblymember Phil Ting, Assemblymember Kevin Mullen, and our Mayor Sal Torres, Vice Mayor David Canepa, and Raven Ventura, the California Federation of Teachers, the Daly City Fire Police, and the San Mateo Labor Council. So these are just some of the endorsements I have. But more importantly, I would love to have your vote and your endorsement for this. I do believe that, I have the experience looking over city budgets, looking at city policies, and also working on the ground serving the people. I have a multifaceted experience around this, and I will work hard and tirelessly to serve the city I was raised in. And I believe that, I'm rooted from Daly City, and I'm for Daly City and for Daly City's future. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Glenn Sylvester.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be with you this evening. All I bring to the table is experience in giving back to community service. After 34 years with the San Francisco Police Department, I was content. I got me a good retirement. I can just go off onto the sunset. But till I got that call and was asked to serve on the Planning Commission, and then seeing the things that are happening in this city and what folks need in this city, and yet to plan proper development by keeping their environment and the community in mind, I decided to run for Daly City Council because I want to make this place a better place, just like eating an elephant. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And that's what I intend to do. But there are so many issues, ladies and gentlemen, and there's going to be unpopular decisions. I do not know how to be successful, but I do know the secret to failure, and that is trying to please everyone. There's going to be some unpopular decisions, but I promise to do the best I can. I promise to be your voice. I promise that you can come to any council meeting and state what it is that you have to say, and I will listen. I will look at all the facts and then make that decision on whether I would approve or vote or not vote for something. That is what I bring you. I can't give you any promises. Go to my website. I can give you all my endorsements, and I worked hard for every single one of them. Go to glennsylvester.org. You will see those endorsements, and those folks did not give me the endorsements if they thought I didn't deserve it. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Mr. Braxton Lethco.
So as a public school teacher, as a math teacher, the thing that my kids hate the worst is word problems. And for anybody who's thinking back into their math days, that's probably what you hated the most too. It's something about, we talk about this all the time. There's something about sitting with a problem for like 2 or 3 minutes. Everyone's trying to solve the problem, right? The kid sees all these words, they're trying to solve the problem, they can't figure it out, they're throwing down numbers, they give up, they skip it. That's not what this is about. It was never about trying to solve the problem right away. We need to understand the problem, break it down. These are complex issues, step by step. A lot of the toughest problems in our community are because people have given up on them too quickly and raced to quick solutions that haven't really helped out the full community. There's lots of small problems as I knock doors. All the senior citizens I've talked to, or people who are literally prisoners to their homes because they can't move their car for fear of parking, right? Why is that an issue for the last 20 plus years? I mean, it seems so small, but I've talked to so many people that are trapped in their homes by parking, okay? So how can we do that without increasing the financial struggle, right? We don't want people to pay for parking on street. We don't want to do these things. We need to find creative solutions to the problem. Someone needs to sit down in a room, start to figure out how we can solve these problems. Ultimately, when I plan, as I run for city council, I think about the same way I run in my classroom, which is I look at all my kids and I think about who they're going to be in 25 years. I don't want them to solve math problems and memorize formulas. I want them to solve problems in their relationships and their jobs and everything for the rest of their life. That's the same approach I've taken to teaching. It's the same approach I took as the president of the Tenants Association, and it's the same approach I hope to take as a member of the Daly City Council.
Thank you. Miss Gabriella Makstman.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming here today. What a great event. We have a choice this year. We're lucky that there are no incumbents. Whoever you choose is going to be brand new blood to the city council, and that is sheer luck. You have a choice between the people that are supported by the establishment, by all of the power brokers in the city, and then you have a choice between the people that aren't supported by those people, that don't hold, that don't need to, they can make their own decisions. I'm one of those people. And I won't be afraid to vote yes or vote no because somebody gave me an endorsement. People that gave me endorsement are really, realistically not part of this community anymore. But I am. And I want to represent everyone that lives here, not just the people who are in charge. We have to focus on what matters most in this community, and it's all of us, the citizens. Not the current city council, not all of these different organizations, but us. And it starts with us, and it starts with the decisions that you will be making between now and November 8th. So think wisely when you're making those decisions. Do consider everyone's endorsement. Do you stand for everything that all of these people and all of these organizations that are endorsing the other candidates stand for? If you do, then please vote for them. If you don't, vote for the person who's independent, who doesn't belong to any political party. I'm the only candidate running who doesn't. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, I wanted to thank everybody for coming. And I wanted to give a hand to our candidates, Braxton Lethco, Gabriella Makstman, Juslyn Manalo, and Sylvester for being here. Everybody, and have a good night.